Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Frazzini. I'm a college counselor at Wyoming Seminary in Kingston, Pennsylvania. I'm also the chair of the College Fairs Committee for PACAC. We're thrilled to welcome you today to the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling Keystone Virtual Exploration. This program is a partnership between PACAC and StriveScan for all Pennsylvania students. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. If you have questions for the panelists today, you can enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and they'll make sure to get to them in the presentation. Also, this is a webinar presentation through Zoom, so your camera and microphone will be off and muted for the duration of the session. You signed up for today's session at the PACAC website at www.pacac.org/virtual. If you'd like to sign up for additional sessions, you can do so from now until November 6th. And if you'd like to view a recording of this session or any others, you can do so at that same website, www.pacac.org/virtual. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to today's session host.
Thank you very much, Liz, for the introduction. Right, I'm just going to quickly share my presentation with you one moment. Okay, brilliant. So as Liz introduced earlier, my name is Graham Wise, and I work for the University of East Anglia, located in the United Kingdom. So today's presentation is going to be about studying in the UK, but also about UEA, the university that I mentioned you earlier. So obviously studying in the UK doesn't just mean England. There are lots of options. There's England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland in terms of destinations where you can study. Quite often when students, particularly from the US, think of studying in the UK, they think of London and the universities in Greater London, but I can promise you now there's a lot more universities out there than just London. And obviously I would say that working at a university based outside of London, but there's lots of fantastic destinations to continue your higher education in the UK, and obviously these are the 4 countries that you can do that. Before I get started on the kind of bulk and the main key areas of the presentation, just go for a few kind of things that you'll definitely need to look out for if you do decide to study in the UK. I have a colleague of mine who's based out in the US, so between us we kind of put this list together, and there's a lot of different phrases of how we say things, many being kind of sofa and couch and all these kind of various things. So I think coming to study in the UK will be not just the academic side of things, but it'll also be adjusting to a whole new vocabulary in some aspects. In terms of UK study to US study, so undergraduate length of study is actually kind of the wrong number in here, but it's actually I think 4 to 5 years it takes to complete a degree in the US, whereas in the UK it just takes 1 year. So it's 1 year of study, 3 years of study in the undergraduate program in the UK, and 3 to 5 I believe in the US. So it's a lot shorter time to complete your degree. A few other little areas where things might be slightly different. Modules, so obviously in the US it's a lot more general in terms of what you're studying. You can pick lots of different kind of subject areas, whereas in the UK you focus on your main subject area. So for example, if you are interested in studying chemistry in the UK, those are the modules and that is the subject that you will study. You can't really choose from other areas, or you can't do chemistry and history and creative writing. It doesn't really work like that. In terms of accommodation, just to highlight a couple of key points, I'm not going to go for each one with you because we'll be here for a very long time. So in terms of accommodation, UK is mostly single rooms. I know in the US they have lots of shared accommodations, but mostly single rooms in the UK. Each university will have different variants of this though, but there's lots of different variants of that. In terms of sports, I know in the US it's very sports focused in terms of colleges and where you're studying. In the UK, sorry, not so much. We tend to have a single day set aside for sports. So at the university I work for, UEA, we have the Wednesday afternoon, which is all dedicated towards sports. Some universities are more sports focused than others in the UK, but generally speaking, it's not as important and as big as it is in the US. And yeah, they're the main kind of differences. Might be good to take a photo of this one possibly, but yeah, there's the kind of main difference between studying in the US and studying in the UK. So other kind of key differences obviously within the UK. So as I said earlier, in Wales, Northern Ireland, England, and most places, the bachelor's degree, so the undergraduate program, will be 3 years in length. Scotland, it will be 4 years. So Scotland is slightly longer. The only way it would be even longer than these dates if you chose to extend your program, which is an option at some universities, and actually at UEA, where you can extend it to a 4-year program if you wanted to, say, study abroad for a year or do an internship for a year. And I'll touch on a little bit more of that later. Or if you're studying a program like medicine, for example, that is a longer program at 5 years. But generally speaking, the standard time it would take you to complete a degree in England, Northern Ireland, or Wales would be 3 years, and in Scotland, it would be 4 years. So the average cost of tuition at a university as well, I guess, again, in comparison, it's a lot cheaper and it's a lot more cost effective to study a program here, as you can see here. You know, if you're studying a 3-year program, the cost of tuition varies at around £21,000, I'd say, at most universities. That'd be $21,000 at most universities. This will be heavily subsidised by scholarships as well, and I'll touch on the scholarships that we offer, but most universities in the UK will offer international students and specifically US students scholarships. So the fees that are quoted here for the UK will always be cheaper than they are actually. Usually scholarships range from about £4,000 to £6,000 possibly per year. So there's a lot of great kind of scholarships on offer. But again, as you can see, it's a very cost-effective method of studying and completing a degree. So to make an application in the UK, the most common application platform is UCAS. UCAS is an independent body, which is effectively an application portal which students who are wanting to apply to universities in the UK will use to create their application, to write their personal statement and submit their choices. Common App is also used. UEA, the university that I work for, don't support Common App. I think possibly around 20 universities in the UK use it, so it isn't as common, but it is certainly a platform that some universities use. So I think if you're applying to study at a university in the UK, best thing to do first is to check their website and just to make sure that you're applying on the right platform. But with your application, specifically with your UCAS application, you'll be required to write a personal statement, which is effectively a letter of intent to kind of outline your chosen interest in your chosen subject area, why you want to study this subject, the experience you have in this subject area, and what you want to do in the future, and ultimately why you think you'd be the perfect student for this course. So universities in the UK will use this personal statement as part of the admissions process and as part of the application process as well. So it's really important that personal statement is really, really good when you do apply to your chosen university. UCAS application does cost, it's around £20, so around $23, $24 for a single application. If you're applying to more than one university, it will cost you £26 in total. It won't be any more than that for each choice. And on UCAS, you can make up to 5 different choices. They will all need to be in the same subject area because you can make 5 choices, but you can only submit one personal statement, and that personal statement has to be about your subject. So you can't go onto UCAS and apply for law for one university, business studies for another university, and chemistry for another university. You'll get rejected for those university choices. So make sure that you just have one subject area that you apply to. Obviously, you can apply for multiple universities for that same subject area as well. Okay, right, I'm just going to go through to the next slide here. So the requirements for UK universities. So this is looking very generally. Each university will vary its entry requirements, especially now. But standard, and you're looking at generally speaking, most universities will look for a cumulative grade average of around 3.0. But it can, like I said, it can really vary. What I'd always recommend, especially for students applying from the US, is to contact the university first. Most universities will operate on a kind of holistic admissions process, so whereby they'll judge each applicant on their own merit. So please, if you are thinking of applying to a university in the UK, my best advice would be just to contact them first. Usually they'll have a representative like myself who can just talk you through the process and who can kind of give you the best information regarding requirements specific to that university. Okay, so that is kind of studying in the UK, and a whistle-stop tour of that. So I just wanted to go through with you UEA, the University of East Anglia. So this is the university that I work for. And going through UEA will give you a good idea of what it's like to study at a UK university, the kind of services on offer for students, both financial, social service, kind of accommodation, all those kind of things that will form part of your degree. So I'm just going to go through UEA with you, which is, like I would say it's an excellent university, and just give you a good feel for what it's like to study at a university like UEA. So at UEA, we are home to around 16,000 students, just over 16,000 students, of which 4,000 are international students. So that makes us a very multicultural and a very diverse university. I think we have students from over 100 different countries at the university. So it's a very popular choice from students from all over the world. I'm not going to bore you with rankings, because every university can do a presentation to you and say they're ranked really high in this and really high in that. So I'm just going to kind of highlight the key ones, I would say, that we are ultimately ranked very highly, both in the UK being in the top 25, but also in the world as well, being the top 200. There's some key ones to highlight to you there. So this is our university here. So as you can see, we are a campus-based university. What that basically means is that all of our facilities are on the same site. So as you can see in the image here, we have accommodation dotted all around our campus and slightly off our campus as well. International students are guaranteed to be living on UEA accommodation in their first year of study. So you're guaranteed to be living on this site. As you move forward into your second and third year, you'll then live typically in the local area, and the university will support you in applying for and finding your accommodation in the city as well. But yeah, as I said, we're a campus-based university, so all of our kind of fantastic facilities are on this site, including our sports park. It's a state-of-the-art facility. So I know I mentioned earlier that UK universities don't focus on sport as much as US universities. However, UEA kind of bucks that trend. We do have our fantastic £30 million sports park on the campus. It's got very discounted entry for students, and inside there's lots of obviously indoor and outdoor sports. As you can see here, we have a gym, swimming pool, basketball courts inside, outdoor track and field, tennis, cricket, football, all kinds of sports for you there. So it's a really great facility to have, again, also right in the middle of our campus. As well as that, we have a very active student union at UEA. So as you can see here, that's very much the centre of our campus, and next to that we have the street, which is where we have all our restaurants, bars, shops, cafes, all those kind of facilities and all those kind of amenities, as well as our 24/7 library. You'll find that lots of universities in the UK will be a similar kind of setup to this. Universities in London will vary slightly. A lot of them aren't campus-based because the city being the city that it is. A lot of them will have kind of the campus in one section and then the accommodation blocks dotted around different areas. UEA and quite a lot of the universities are different to that in that we have it all on the same site. But one of UEA's major selling points is the location we're in. As you can see, we're surrounded by beautiful kind of English countryside on either side of our campus. UEA's campus actually used to be a golf course before we were formed in 1960. So you can see it's a very beautiful place. It's a great place to relax, unwind. There's a lake, as you can see, to the left-hand side of the campus, where you can walk around or hire out a barbecue, whatever you want to do. So it really is a beautiful and a very accommodating campus. And we really value our student experience at UEA. As I mentioned earlier, we have a really active student union, which creates a really excellent and vibrant social life for our students, which is really, really important to help you settle in, but also to help you make the most out of your time here, to help you to make friends and so on. We actually have over 200 different clubs and societies that you can join, ranging from different sports societies. We have film societies, country-based society, we have a US society. We also actually have a Harry Potter society. So there really is something for everyone at UEA in terms of making the most of your social life. As well as that, we have kind of excellent facilities for you at the university. So we're constantly investing in our campus to bring you the very best facilities on offer. Just in terms of, to give you one example, last year we built our brand new science building, which has been open for 1 year, and it's a kind of fantastic facility, state-of-the-art laboratories inside. So there really is, they're in place to really help you make the most out of your degree at UEA. And just to highlight a few of these facilities that we have. So as I mentioned earlier, we have our 24-hour library. It's actually open on Christmas Day as well, if you did want to visit then. We have lots of different sports clubs at UEA. It's a very, like I said, because we have our sports park on campus, it's very much geared towards that. We have all of our different sports teams which students can join as they arrive at UEA. There's lots of trials that are run, and then they compete throughout the year. As well as that, you can play non-competitively as well. We have lots of students who will play sports with their friends using the sports park facilities. And each year we also compete against another university in the UK, so the University of Essex, which is about an hour and a half from UEA, and we compete in a sports competition against them, where we have lots of different sports that we take place in, and we actually have beaten them 6 times in a row, which is something we like to brag about to the University of Essex. As said earlier, we have our swimming pool, which is an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the sports park. And just to highlight a few of the key facilities for you here, we have our modern teaching facilities, like I mentioned earlier, lots of restaurants and bars and cafes, but also our Career Central office. So Career Central is located in the heart of our campus, and Career Central, it's their role to help students in terms of obviously finding their career. So this will be during their studies if they want to find a part-time job, but also obviously after they graduate as well. Career Central will support students for up to 3 years after they graduate. And they'll do this by providing interview support, kind of tips on how to find a job, how to write an application. They'll also advertise jobs, placements and internships as well. So it's a really great free service for students to use while they're studying at UEA. I'd highly recommend you go see Career Central as early as possible to really make the most out of their services. So another facility at UEA I just wanted to highlight to you is the SAINSBURY Centre for Visual Arts. SAINSBURY Centre for Visual Arts is an art gallery located in the middle of our campus. It's home to exhibitions from all over the world, and it's free to enter for students. But you may recognise the SAINSBURY Centre because it actually doubles up as the headquarters of the Avengers in the Avengers films. So the SAINSBURY Centre has been used in numerous films. As you can see here, they were on campus filming a few years ago. Hopefully they'll return again at some point in the future. But it was used for the films, slightly CGI and animated, as you can see here in the image. But it's pretty cool to say that you studied at a university which is also the headquarters of the Avengers. So in terms of housing and accommodation, so the prices and the accommodation options are here are for UEA in Norwich. Across the UK, it can really vary depending on which city you're living in. Just to go use London as an example, you'd probably be paying double or probably triple the price that you'd be paying here if you were living in London. Outside of London, the prices are a lot cheaper. So just to highlight some of our options, we do offer more accommodation than the ones provided here. So these range, as you can see here, from around £79 to around £166 per week. The most expensive one, that's actually located in the city of Norwich, is a brand new building. The cheapest one, the Ziggurats accommodation, is our most iconic accommodation, the kind of pyramid style buildings. They're also our most sociable accommodation options because they're located so centrally in our campus. But yeah, lots of kind of variety in terms of your options. As I mentioned earlier, it's guaranteed for you to be living on campus in your first year of study if you apply by a certain deadline. And I'd really recommend that you do that in your first year, just to really help you to make the most out of your time studying at UEA. So as I mentioned previously, UEA is a very sociable university, and we pride ourselves on being a very sociable and a very interactive university. In our student union, we have a venue known as the LCR, which is a live music venue on our campus. And it hosts around 60 or over 60 gigs a year. And we've had Ed Sheeran, Coldplay, The Killers play there before, and a variety of other artists as well. So if you're interested in live music, then the LCR is a really great venue for you to attend. They have discounted entry for students as well. As well as that, that's where we run our club lights. So during the day, the LCR will be kind of various coffee shop and a social space for students. At night time, it's transformed into a club and bar for students. So it's got that really kind of social life pretty much 24/7. Also, just to touch on once more, our sports park, it's a fantastic facility. It's actually one of the largest indoor sports facilities in the UK. And it's not just used by UEA students, but it's also used by the people in the city of Norwich and also the county of Norfolk. So people from all over the UK will visit the sports park to take part in events or their chosen sport. So yeah, there's kind of something for everyone at the sports park. If you want to play competitively, then you can do that. Or if you want to play just casually with friends, and that's also an option. The climbing wall is also one of our most popular attractions at the sports park. But if you're interested in sports, I'd really recommend you get along to the sports park. Like I said, it's a great facility to use. I actually use it myself. I use it twice a week playing football or soccer. So really, yeah, really a great facility. And like I said, people from all over the county of Norfolk will use the sports park. Obviously, we totally understand at UEA that studying at university or studying at college is a very daunting prospect. It can be quite intimidating, but also if you combine that with studying in a new country, which you may have never visited before, we completely appreciate how difficult that must be. So we have a really wide variety of support and offer for our international students when they arrive at UEA. So we have a dedicated international student advisory team who are there to support international students throughout the whole process in terms of arriving at the university, but also settling in and adjusting to life in the UK. If you haven't been, coming to a whole new UK is quite a strange thing to do. It's quite a different, unusual concept quite often to some students, and it's difficult to adjust to, being away from friends, being away from family, but also living in a country where everyone talks a little bit different and maybe eats food that you're not quite used to. So it does take a bit of time to adjust, and that's what this team is there for. They're on hand 24/7 to help and support students when they need them. And they put on lots of different workshops and sessions to help students, whether it's group sessions. They can buddy you up with a current student, or they can just check in on you, or you can kind of check in with them if you wanted to chat to someone. So there's a lot of support on offer for UEA students. And as I mentioned to you earlier, we're really lucky at UEA that we have such a great kind of countryside and a really beautiful green campus. Not all universities are so lucky to have that, but UEA, we're one of the very few universities in the UK who have such a beautiful area to be located in. So like I said, we have our lake, which you can walk around when you feel a bit stressed out or tired, or if you just want to chill out in the sun, that's a real great spot there to do that. So again, we're very lucky that we have that on offer at UEA. So where we're located, because you probably haven't heard of us before, and not a lot of people have, but UEA, or University of East Anglia, is located in the city of Norwich, in the county of Norfolk, in the east of the UK, as you can see here. So in Norfolk, just to give you a reference point, we're about 1 hour and a half to London by train, so very well connected to the capital city in London. We're also a coastal city, so we're very close to the beach. The closest beach from our campus to drive will probably take you about 35 to 40 minutes to get to the closest beach in Norfolk, and there's lots of beaches all around the north coast of Norfolk, all the way across to the east. So that's really lucky to have that there. As well as that, we have lots of beautiful countryside in Norwich. And in Norfolk, so it's famous for its countryside. We have our Norfolk Broads, which is a series of rivers and lakes which students can hire out boats and sail around. It's a really beautiful thing to do. And if ever I kind of welcome anyone to Norwich, I'll always bring them to the Broads to take a boat and sail around and see the natural beauty of the county. It's like one of my favourite things to do in Norwich. And if you ever are lucky enough to visit, I would really recommend that you do that. In Norwich as well, we have an international airport. So the airport in Norwich is about a 20-minute drive from campus. And from this airport, you can fly in via Amsterdam in the Netherlands, internationally all over the world. So quite often our students, if they don't arrive to London, usually Heathrow, they'll arrive directly to Norwich. And I'd always recommend doing that. If you arrive directly to Norwich, you can beat all the long queues. And once your plane lands, it's a 20-minute journey to campus. Whereas in London, it'll take you a little bit longer. Okay, so Norwich is a city, and this quote from a former medicine student really sums up that it really is the best of both worlds. And I would say this, Norwich is my home city, so I'm really biased, so you probably could ignore everything I'm going to say about Norwich, but it really is a fantastic city. It's really one of those cities where, like I said, it really is the best of both worlds. So Norwich is a historic medieval city. So we have our castles, cathedrals, our kind of traditional English cobbled streets, but we also have our brand new shopping centres and cinemas as well. As you can see here, this is Norwich Castle, which is located in the centre of our city. But yeah, it really is something for everyone in Norwich. Norwich is actually England's first UNESCO City of Literature as well. And as well as that, it's got kind of lots of fantastic architecture that is really fascinating to explore and to look around in the city. But as well as that, lots of excellent entertainment for students. Like I said, we have 2 shopping centres in our city. We have one of the largest open air markets in the city as well. And as well as that, we have theatre, football stadiums, all kinds of stuff as well. As you can see, it's a top 10 shopping city in the UK, if you're interested in that. And it's also, most importantly, one of the safest cities in the UK, one of the cities with the lowest crime rates across the whole of the country, which I think is a really reassuring thing for international students. I mean, just to put it into context, like I mentioned earlier, at UEA, we have just over 16,000 students, of which 4,000 are international. The whole population of the city of Norwich is around 130 to 140,000 people. So a big portion of that is at UEA and our university. So it really is part of the community in Norwich. UEA, it's kind of inbuilt into the city. So you do feel like you're a part of the city as soon as you enroll at UEA. And what I often find with students that I work with, that once they've finished their degree at UEA, they don't want to leave Norwich because they love the city so much. And they really fall in love with their way of living here. So I mentioned earlier the entry requirements, kind of general entry requirements for students in the US who are thinking or who are wanting to apply to universities in the UK. So just to highlight UEA's entry requirements, and it can be similar. Most universities in the UK will accept IBs, and that's something that we certainly do accept. We also look for the high school graduate diploma and AP exams. So typically in terms of APs, we look for 3 to 5 exams with a GPA of over 3.3. What I would say though for this current year, and this will be the same across the whole board for all universities in the UK, is that they are very flexible for 2021 entry or entry in the future. We personally as a university are currently reviewing our entry requirements. So we understand that students may not have access to SATs, ACTs, or a variety of other tests. So what I would say, like I mentioned earlier, if you are thinking of applying, please reach out to myself or the representative at the university in the UK you're applying to, because the entry requirements will vary, and we will look at each application on an individual basis. As I mentioned earlier, the application will be made on UCAS. You may also be required to attend an interview. Some programs like our health sciences programs, like medicine and nursing and those kind of programs, physiotherapy, they do require an interview as well as part of the application process. So just keep an eye out for some subjects that require that. Okay, yes, as I mentioned earlier, so applying to the UK, it's all done on UCAS if you're applying to study at UEA. Some universities will accept direct applications, so again, it's best just to check with them first. But at UEA, as I said here, it is done on UCAS, and that's the only way that you can actually apply to UEA as an undergraduate student. So in terms of the subject areas, so when it comes to one of the differences between the US and the UK, like I mentioned, with the UK, you kind of have to choose a subject area that you want to do your degree in, whereas in the US, you have that greater flexibility. So within UEA, we have 4 key faculties, the overarching faculties. So they are the arts and humanities, medicine, health, science, and social sciences. And within each of these 4 faculties, we have a number of different schools. So as you can see, there are lots of different schools listed down here. And within each of these schools, we have lots of different subjects that you can choose from. It's a little bit wordy, but that's how it works. Effectively, and I'm not going to go for each one because we'll be here for a very long time, but effectively what that means is we have a really, really wide variety of programs on offer for you to study at UEA in all of these subject areas that you can see on your screen here. So our subjects, again, I'm not going to read out the full list for you, but we do offer a really wide variety of both undergraduate and postgraduate programs at the university. So what we're best known for, I would say at UEA, are 3 kind of flagship courses, if you will, are literature and creative writing. As I mentioned earlier, Norwich, the city, is England's first UNESCO City of Literature, So it's really embedded into the city itself, and it's one of the most prestigious creative writing programs in the UK. International development, we are a research intensive university at UEA, so a vast majority of our academics at the university are active researchers in their respective fields. So we're actually internationally renowned for our teaching and our research in the subject area of international development and also environmental science. We're actually first in the UK for research impact in the earth systems and environmental sciences. And since we formed in the 1963, environmental science has been almost throughout that whole time at the university. So it's one of our oldest and most prestigious schools. But like I said, we're also strong in a variety of other areas, so business, economics, psychology, law, and as you can see from the long list here, there's a lot of other subjects that we do offer at UEA, which we're very strong in. UEA's subjects are very cost effective. So like I said, the cost will range from around 17 to £21,000 per year of study. As I said earlier, that will be heavily discounted with scholarships, and I'll touch on scholarships a little bit shortly. So our undergraduate programs, so at UEA, like most of the UK, they are 3 years in length. The only way they'd be longer than that is if you selected to study a year abroad or a placement year option, which would then make it 4 years in length. So a lot of our programs do offer this. So what you would do for the year abroad option is you would do your first 2 years at UEA, then you do your third year at one of our partner universities. We have partners in the US, Canada, in Australia, we have partners in Asia and Europe as well. So you do a year at one of those universities, and then you come back to UEA and do your fourth year. If you did the placement year or the year in industry option, then you'd run the exact same way, but in the third year you would work for a year on placement or in industry. So one of the key features with our programs at UEA is the flexibility of them. So as I said, I understand that in the US it's very different in that you have a lot more flexibility, but UEA does offer a fair degree of flexibility as well. So how our degree programs work, the structure is in the first year, typically across most of our subjects, you have a very common first year where all the students on the subject will study the same core modules that will bring all the students to the same level. As you move forward into your second and third year, you can then choose the modules that you're most interested in that will really help you tailor the degree to your own area of interest. At UEA, we follow what we call an interdisciplinary approach, which means that if you say, for example, you've studied a business course at UEA, it means you can choose modules from other schools as well. So you could do a module from economics or a module from law or a module from international development. Again, it really helps you to tailor that degree and make it as flexible as possible. In terms of teaching at the university, you'll receive maybe up to around 20 hours of contact time per week. So by contact time, we mean lectures, seminars, kind of workshops, lab work, group work, all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's typical across most universities, but that's how much we would offer. We recommend that you study for around 38 hours per week. So the remaining 18 hours we recommend for independent study. So researching for lectures, writing essays, that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so just to touch on a few further bits of information for you now. So as I mentioned earlier, we at UEA offer very generous scholarships for students from the US. So our scholarships for next year have not been confirmed yet, but however, just to give you an idea of the kind of rough ballpark they'll be in. So last year for students in the US, we offered a guaranteed scholarship of either £4,000 or £6,000 per year. So when I mentioned the fees were £17,000, that could actually be £12,000 because of or £11,000 because of the scholarships. So the fees that quoted will always be cheaper because of these scholarships, and we offered the ability to upgrade these scholarships to £10,000 per year of study. And actually last year, 2 US students won that £10,000 per year scholarship, which means that you had off your 3-year program, £10,000 off each year. So in total, £30,000 off your degree. In dollars, maybe around $36,000, $37,000 discounted. So again, it makes your degree really, really cheap and a really cost-effective option. So definitely look out for good scholarships at universities. I said earlier, we're a very multicultural university, but also quite a young university as well. So we were founded in 1960, so we're younger than quite a few universities in the UK, but we're a fast-growing university as well, which is why we're ranked so highly in the UK and in the world. And just to highlight as well what's going on at the moment. So currently, university obviously begins in September in the UK, so all of our students have just arrived, and we are currently operating a blended learning approach. So it's very much a mixture of virtual and in-person teaching currently at UEA. So your larger lectures, seminars are done virtually, but your smaller workshops and lab work and stuff like that are done in person. So very much want to teach our students in person because we feel that's the best way to learn. So we're operating a blended approach at the moment at UEA. So I just wanted to quickly highlight what the University of East Anglia has been doing in the past few months in terms of the ongoing pandemic that we're all facing in the world right now. So as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, we've recently built our brand new science building at UEA. So when the UK went into lockdown in around the end of March, our campus closed, all of our students went home, but our science building stayed open, and that was to produce hand sanitizer. So at the beginning of lockdown, we reopened our science building, and we produced, I think, 4,000 bottles, or just over 4,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, which roughly estimated it washed around 1.3 million hands, and that was distributed all across the city and all across the county of Norfolk as well. So it's a really great achievement, what was taking place at UEA during what was such a difficult time, not just in the UK, but all around the world as well. And as well as this, we also used our laboratories to build and create visors. So we created, I think it's 5,000 visors that were created in total at UEA, and these were distributed across Norfolk, and they were used in hospitals, in medical centres, police stations, and various other places as well. So again, it's a real great achievement what was done at UEA to really help the local community as much as we possibly can. So that was pretty much it for me today. If anyone does have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those now for you. I'm just going to see if anything comes through. But if you don't have any questions, I'm obviously going to highlight my contact details for you now. So as I said earlier, my name is Graham Wise. And if you have any questions at all about UEA, or if it's just studying in the UK in general and you want a bit of advice, obviously feel free to reach out to me on my email. It's g.wise@uea.ac.uk. And alternatively, if you want to speak to a current student from the US at UEA, we have our fantastic ambassador, Nicole. So you can contact her on americanstudents@uea.ac.uk. If you wanted to chat to a current student who's gone through the exact same process as you, Nicole is currently in her third year of study at UEA, and she's having an amazing time. So if you wanted to reach out to her, then I'd highly recommend that you do that if you wanted. So yeah, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to take those now. I'll just give you a moment to submit a question if you can think of anything. Okay, right, let's have a look. Okay, I'll just kind of highlight one question that we get asked quite often, is what's my favourite event that we do on our campus? And we have lots of great events taking place throughout the year at UEA. And I think my favourite event that we do at UEA is something called Pimp My Barrow. So Pimp My Barrow is a charity event. So teams of around 6 or 7 students will get together. They'll dress up in a fancy dress outfit. They'll pay to enter the competition, and they get each buy a wheelbarrow, which they decorate, and then they go on a pub crawl. So they'll go to different bars and pubs throughout the city. And it's a very colourful, very bright and vibrant event, which often raises lots of money for charities, usually around Norwich and around Norfolk. So that's one of my favourite events that we have at UEA. But throughout the year, we have lots of exciting things going on, not just the Avengers, but also lots of great sport events, lots of great social events, live music, all that kind of stuff as well. Okay, I can't see any questions coming in here. Liz, I'm happy to round things up now if you're still there.
am. I will just pull up this slide here and
Fantastic.
we could thank everyone for their participation today. And thank you so much, Graham. That was a really awesome presentation about studying in the UK, but also UEA as well. And so thank you so much for
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So for those who are in attendance live today, there's a quick survey after this session. It's just about 4 questions, and we appreciate your feedback. And then again, to sign up for additional sessions or view a recording of today's presentation, you can visit www.pacac.org/virtual. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much, Graham.
Thank you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.